Hi, my name is Ben Mosca, and this is my 2015 intern presentation about interning at the Ward Group in UBS in Greensboro, North Carolina. So to start off, I'll begin with my orientation. Most of it was completed online through online training modules that were sent from headquarters. My training consisted of 5 to 10 modules, which really acclimated me with corporate culture, helped me understand my responsibilities, and a large part of it was understanding the regulations that have been brought up in the U.S. law that really restrict financial advisors from engaging in some of the illegal activities that they had been in the past. Most of this was due to the financial crisis of 2008. Since then, the government's really been cracking down, and there's a lot more surveillance, a lot more reporting is necessary, and basically advisors have to really tread carefully with whatever they do. Most of their actions have to be reported to their line managers, and then those line managers report to headquarters. So everything is kept track of in case something goes wrong. Then they can look back and see where the problem came from. And there's obviously way more accountability now in the industry. I learned through the training modules that financial advisors can lose their series certification and actually face jail time if they fail to comply with the new regulations. So another part of my orientation was I was taken around the office to shake hands and meet all of the financial advisors. This took about 45 minutes. There were a number of them in the office, but it was a great way to start, get my name out in the office. I was the only intern in the fall, so there wasn't any meet and greet between interns. It was mostly just me meeting the financial advisors. So my primary learning objective for the semester was to learn more about the financial services industry and learn how successful financial advisors operate in client relations and in their investment practice. I think definitely my most relevant project I did for this is the portfolio reviews that I would prepare for clients. So I got to see asset allocation of the client based on their risk profile in terms of UBS at the Ward Group. Most of the clients are elderly and retired, so their risk profile was generally lower. Their debt to equity mix was mostly focused on debt. They took on less stocks, and this allowed them to kind of have a guaranteed rate of return, but it tended to be lower than that of what a younger investor who was apt to take on more risk would have. So I would make sure that their risk profile matched their uh, really their rate of return by checking the beta of the equities that they would invest in, um, and making sure that they had enough bonds in their portfolio to mitigate the risk that was arisen from the equities. And then I would prepare a file for them, mostly for the financial advisor to present to them during their quarterly portfolio review. Not every client had a quarterly review. Lower income clients had yearly reviews, but the high net worth clients would have meetings quarterly or even more so, depending on what they preferred. So my first jump outside the comfort zone. Of course, the first day was different. It took a while to get acclimated to the professional environment that these financial advisors work in. Once I got used to that, the first step outside my comfort zone was lunch with a wholesaler from First Eagle Investments. He came in. This actually happens multiple times a week. Wholesalers from mutual funds come in and they take the advisors out to lunch, explain to them the philosophy behind their fund, the returns they've been getting, the different opportunities that advisors have with if invested with them. So pretty much I went out to lunch with 3 advisors and 1 wholesaler. He pitched the fund to them, really just laid the groundwork for future business in the Ward Group and with UBS in Greensboro. It was definitely different for me being in a public setting, but also in a professional setting at the same time, having to keep my professional stature and communicate professionally while in a restaurant. Um, Another reason why I was uncomfortable because all of the men present were talking about Southern college football. I'm from the North, so that was definitely tough to try to engage in that conversation because I really didn't know much about what they were talking about. Another time I stepped out of the comfort zone was the investor relations meeting, which happened in October. This actually happened at 7 p.m. at the office, so I had to leave and come back that night. The advisors set up a dinner with drinks and a presentation about cybersecurity for their high net worth and clients. This was cool to meet the clients and stand up there as a member of the UBS team with the advisors. A lot of clients were present, and it was different for me. Most of the time in my internship, I would be back in my office doing whatever work they had me doing best behind the scenes, but this was definitely different being face to face with a number of clients. The work culture at UPS was definitely different for me. I was the only intern, so all my work was done pretty much independently. This made it difficult when questions arose. I didn't really have a buddy or a co-worker that's on the same level as me to go to. I had to go directly to my boss if I had any questions, but she was very helpful, and that wasn't really a problem. I would say the greatest difference between me and my coworkers were northern versus southern, age and gender. Both of my superiors were female. This was a little different than previous jobs I had had, and everyone was much older than me by at least 15 to 20 years. So, right off the bat, I had to become acclimated with the Southern culture and courtesy. I really had to change my communication to better accommodate older people. They didn't. I stopped using obviously the lingo from kids my age, and working primarily with adults was tough because I would transition between school and work on a daily basis. So I'd go from being in a classroom filled with people my age to a an office filled with people much older than me. So I really had to flip a switch, and that was tough. That was definitely the most difficult cultural difference I dealt with. The gender difference really didn't change anything. Everyone stayed professional no matter what. So it was no different than having a man as a boss or anything like that. I think my most important personal takeaways from the internship is that professionalism is imperative to having a successful career in financial advising. Everything that the advisors do is done professionally, whether it's calling a client, even conversing among themselves. They have been working together for decades, and they still keep a professional sense when communicating in the office. Um, I'm sure that they act more friendly outside of the office, but really everything is professional. Client relationship management is leagues more important than financial knowledge, which is different than I thought it would be coming into it. I thought that the best advisors would be the ones that are most versed in the financial services industry, the ones that had the best investment ideas and equity knowledge. But it's really the other way around. The most successful advisors have a great foundation in finance, but they're also very exceptional at maintaining their client relations. Um, so another thing I found is barely any technical knowledge is needed to be a financial advisor. Most of the money that comes into the advisors, they put into mutual funds that are either marketed through UBS, so a UBS fund, or through these outside wholesalers who come in and sell their funds. So you don't really need to know that much about the stock market or bonds to be a financial advisor. More importantly, um, you just need to have a network and have people that trust you with their money. And I learned that bringing on new clients is quite difficult. So mostly, people don't start in the financial advising business. They work They have a career, they build a network, and then once they're ready to, they break off and become an advisor, bringing on the friends and colleagues that they've made along the way. And this is the norm for financial advisors, which I wasn't aware of. So it's not really something that you can get into successfully right out of college. And if you try to, it's incredibly difficult because it's a lot of cold calling and forming new relationships really out of nothing. So career opportunity, like I said, for now, wealth management doesn't really appeal to me just because of the network that I have. I need to build that. Definitely need to have more exposure into the financial markets and meet more people. So I need more industry experience, but eventually that's definitely a career path I would like to take. I would say the best courses that prepared me in the business school at Elon would be business communications because of sending emails, talking on the phone, acting professionally, principles of finance for understanding the financial markets, difference between stock and a bond, ETF, mutual fund, definitely all key investments, same thing. And then writing, whenever I would write a report to my superiors or even an email, just make sure that it's professional, make sure that it looks good, and make sure there's no confusion in the words that I'm saying. So the core competencies I worked most on were my professional communication skills and financial terms understanding. Those definitely got better as I went along, and upon completion of the internship, I definitely feel more confident pursuing other jobs and a career in finance. So hopefully we'll see how things play out. What I could have done differently is been more educated in the role of financial advisors. Previously, I believed that they were really masters of finance and exceptional when it comes to stock picking and portfolio management, but it's really not. It really comes down to relationships and networking. Also, I could have known the financial instruments that advisors use more. I expected them to invest most of their clients' assets into stocks and bonds, but really they're investing into mutual funds through third-party vendors. I didn't expect that. If I had known that, I would have gone into it a little bit differently. And to keep on track for my career goals, definitely networking is the most important thing that my boss has stressed. Definitely the most important thing for anyone trying to pursue a successful career. All advisors express the importance of keeping and maintaining and building on a professional network. I think continuing education is very important for keeping on track. Once college is over, that's not the end of the world. Series 763, the Certified Financial Analyst exam, and then eventually business school is what they all said were imperative to having a successful career in finance. And of course, staying updated on the news in the financial services sector. This is good for anybody and definitely important in really knowing what's going on and being able to apply those recent news stories to your work. So that's it. Thank you for your time, and my experience at UBS was very positive, and I would definitely encourage those interested in pursuing a career in wealth management or even finance to check them out. Thanks again.